Good afternoon and welcome to Border Report Live. My name is Rudy Midelis and I am your host for this Tuesday edition, coming to you live from Harlingen, Texas in the Rio Grande Valley of South Texas. And joining me today is Border Report correspondent Sandra Sanchez. Hey, how you doing, Sandra?
Hi, Rudy. I'm great, and we have a great show for you today.
Great. What are we going to be talking about later on?
We're going to be talking with a swim instructor who helps Border Patrol agents pass a rigorous test to become BORTAC or BORSTAR agents. And she's here from the Rio Grande Valley, and she's actually here with us on the desk today, Sandy Overly. And we'll be having a great conversation about what she does and how she prepares agents.
Awesome. Well, that sounds exciting, and very exciting to have our first in-studio guest for Border Report Live as well. So looking forward to speaking with Sandy Overly in just a few moments. But first, let's start with some of the headlines making news across the country. Immigration hearings starting off the list. The Trump administration has declared that immigrants who arrive in the United States illegally are no longer eligible for a bond hearing as they fight deportation proceedings in court. Now, by reinterpreting an immigration law from the 90s, Immigration and Customs Enforcement is now instructing officials to argue in immigration court that detainees facing deportation are not eligible to be released on bond if they entered the country illegally. Now, in the past, immigrants residing in the U.S. interior generally have been allowed to request a bond hearing before an immigration judge. Lawyers say the policy will apply to millions of migrants who crossed the U.S.-Mexico border over the past few decades, including under the Biden administration. In other news, immigration authorities are now pressuring landlords to share tenant information, including leases and IDs. Now, the requests are a sign that the Trump administration is targeting landlords to assist in its drive for mass deportations. An Atlanta area real estate attorney recently shared one of his clients' subpoenas with the Associated Press. Now, these subpoenas are not signed by judges, and that's raising legal concerns about compliance and potential violations of the Fair Housing Act. Some legal experts are advising to ignore such requests unless court ordered. Federal officials, however, are defending the subpoenas and warning of penalties for non-compliance. And also happening is the volunteers are leading flood recovery and cleanup in the Texas Hill Country, supplementing official efforts even as more flooding hits and the search for the missing continues. The death toll has surpassed 130, with another 100 people missing from the 4th of July storms. There's also a flood warning in the Laredo area where the Rio Grande is expected to rise up about 7 feet. Volunteers are leading flood recovery and cleanup in the Texas Hill Country, as I said. And let's get over, very timely, this story. Let's get over to Sandra Sanchez to bring in our guest and introduce a little bit about what she does.
Right. Welcome, Sandy Overly. Sandy is a Iron Woman triathlete and a triathlete coach. We actually met 6 years ago. We both do triathlons, but I am no Iron Woman. And met her on the deck swimming, and then I noticed that there were some gentlemen who would come. She'd get out of the water, and she started doing lessons with them, and I said, "What are you doing?" Well, this was 6 years ago, and you have been operating H2 Overly for 7 years now, right? Welcome to the show, Sandy.
Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate being here.
So it's been 7 years. Tell us what got you started helping to train our Border Patrol agents, and they're going for their BORSTAR test, and part of that test is swimming. That is, and it's a rigorous test. BORSTAR stands for Border Patrol's Search, Trauma, and Rescue. There's also BORTAC, and so both of these are kind of like special ops. And swimming is just one section of it, but it's a really important section. What got you started helping them, and how many agents have you helped pass, or have you helped not drown, or have you just helped foster their careers over the years?
Well, I tell you, I had no idea this was coming. I never planned for it. I was wrapping up my triathlon team. I'd been coaching for 12 years. I'd been training and racing for 17. And a triathlete friend of mine that was also a Border Patrol agent reached out to me, and he said, "Hey, one of my buddies wants to go out for BORSTAR, and he doesn't know how to swim, and he needs help. Can you do that?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I need to know what the requirements are, but let me meet with him." So I met with him. We talked about it. I learned more about what the test entailed, and worked with him that day. And he said, "Can I bring a buddy tomorrow?" And I said, "Sure." And that was 7 years ago this August, and they have not stopped coming yet.
And how many, I mean, on average, how long does it take to prepare for a test? How many people are you training at any given time? And are the tests offered year round? Are they every season? How does that work?
It's whatever's required. There are times that I have 29 guys in my chat right now, and they're not all training actively. I'm really focusing on the BORTAC guys that will be testing on Monday and Tuesday. And right after that, the ones that want to test for BORSTAR in this next round, December, January, I'll start focusing more on them.
Okay, where is the BORTAC test, and does that have as equally aggressive swim component for that test as well?
That'll be this next Monday and Tuesday. The Rio Grande sector will be local. It's a different test, but very similar. You know, the pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, the 1.5-mile run, 300-meter run. The swim test is different. It is not as long, but it is in uniform. And I'll tell the guys, I'll say, yeah, I'm not going to go out for BORSTAR because that's more swimming than BORTAC. And what they don't always understand is water is water. And when you have to achieve objectives at the bottom of a deep end, it doesn't matter if it's BORSTAR or BORTAC, you have to learn to get comfortable down there, and you have to be safe in the water.
Now, some of these images we're seeing, these were all taken from you and your company, and you have them doing push-ups on the deck. You have them holding bricks underwater. Look, but watch this guy swimming breaststroke. He has his boots on.
Oh, yeah.
So they have to train like they would, and when they take the test, they're not in a Speedo, right?
Correct.
It's not just easy swimming.
Yeah, BORTAC is in their uniform with boots. It's not a timed event, but it's challenging. But seriously, for the novice to just go in, they're more than likely not going to pass.
So how far do they? So let's break it down. Let's say for the BORSTAR test, what do they have to be able to do? I know that when I visited you, you had them doing a lot of treading in the water, holding something up and out of the water like they would as they were rescuing someone, right?
Well, we do so much more than what's on the test. I often tell them, I'm not just training you for the test. If I'm going to have you ready for SOCDP, which is Special Operations Candidate Development Program. They spend, depending on BORSTAR, BORTAC, they spend 7 to 8 weeks locally with their cadre, and they're rucking, they're doing PT, they're swimming a couple days a week, spending hours in the water. So that's what I'm really training them towards. If I can have them ready for that, the test is not going to be anything at all for them. It's just going to be what they would do on a daily basis in the water anyway.
You mentioned there's one gentleman here in one of these photos who never even put his face in the water before he came to you. And how did he do? I mean, did he pass the test? Or, I mean, he certainly achieved a goal in learning how to swim under you, right?
Yeah, I've had a few of those. One in particular just is really a standout. He came to me about 2 years ago, and I always do an evaluation. I invite him to the house. I have a 25-yard lap pool in our backyard we put in during COVID when there were no city pools to swim in. And I always say, all right, I need you to swim freestyle, and then I want to see your side stroke, breaststroke. What do you know? How do you move in the water, and what's your comfort level? And he moved about 5 feet, and he didn't put his face in the water. And he said, that's it. That's all I've got. And I said, okay. And he said, do you think I have a chance? And I said, if you believe, I believe, and we'll just stick this out together. He was so dedicated. He just kept coming back and coming back. It was a long process, but he has one of the nicest freestyle strokes now that I have seen. He's fully competent in side stroke, breaststroke. Treading was difficult. That was his nemesis, but he has gone through the BORSTAR test, selection. He will be graduating on Friday.
Wow.
Yes, he's been through all 16 weeks, after 2 years of training with me, and I could not be happier for him.
So from not putting his face in the water to graduation this weekend, congratulations.
Yeah. And I have a question on the flip side of that.
Sure.
How many folks come in with just, supreme confidence that they're going to be able to just absolutely crush this course and get humbled right away?
Many. Yeah. Water is the great equalizer. And it's, people find out, and I hear this all the time from the guys that say, yeah, I told so-and-so about you, but he says he swam in high school, so he doesn't need to come. And I'm said, that's fine. I'm here for those that recognize the need, and I'll help them. But beyond swimming, there's the treading. There is the flotation device with the uniform. They have to take off the shirt, make it into a flotation device. They have to remove their boots while treading. The pants, make that a flotation device. Tread for 15 minutes to 30 minutes. So, and then they have to do retrieve things off the bottom of the pool. The 10-pound brick, they have to tread with it out of the water. There are a lot of different drills and skills that are tested.
I remember watching, and these are really muscly guys and gals, and I was in the water with them, and just see them sinking because they were very muscly, and I'm sure they can ace me at running a 5-minute mile or something, but they just needed that confidence to float. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in 1 minute. We're going to hear more from Sandy Overly. Stay with us.
And good afternoon. Welcome back to Border Report Live. Sandra, back to you.
Thanks, Rudy. Yeah, we're talking with Sandy Overly, a swim instructor who helps Border Patrol agents pass the BORSTAR BORTAC test, gives them confidence in the water for those who just want to get more swim experience. This is so timely right now. As we all know, we have had over 100 people die in the flooding in central Texas that happened on July 4th. And many of these special ops, BORTAC and BORSTAR units from the Rio Grande Valley and other sectors across the southwest border and nation have actually been sent to help find victims and help with rescue efforts there. Sandy, it goes to show, how difficult the mission for these agents can be in the field. It's not just on the border.
No, it's not. And these gentlemen are so well trained and prepared to deploy to any catastrophe, emergency, hurricanes. Not everybody is aware of that. They came to be in 1998, and they were basically created to help Border Patrol agents in the field that were injured, that were dehydrated, and also people coming across the border that were not doing well, and they needed EMTs out there, hence the BORSTAR creation. But the training is very extensive. They are trained in helicopter ropes, suspension rescue. They can go to places that vehicles can't get to and descend with ropes and rescue people. They have EMTs. They have advanced EMTs on their teams. So they are very well prepared for situations such as what's happening in Kerrville.
Last week, my colleague Julian Resendez, actually, who just took that video that we were just seeing, was with the BORSTAR as they trained out in New Mexico in the desert there. They're actually headquartered in El Paso. He said that last year, 50 Border Patrol agents helped to rescue 5,400 people, mostly migrants. And, as you mentioned, it was created to help agents help other agents, right? But it has definitely expanded. Now, as you see, we don't even know what those numbers will be like when we add in all the people that they're helping in Central Texas. So definitely, first line recover, law enforcement, first responders here doing much more to help people. Can you tell me a little bit more about the Border Patrol, the tactical unit, the BORTAC, and how that differs? Because I know BORSTAR, they have to be marksmen, they have to be good hikers, and they have a swimming component. What's BORTAC? What's the difference?
The tactical unit, I I don't know if maybe you've heard various other states where there have been active shooters, where there have been other manhunts. BORTAC will be deployed out there, and they are excellent at their job of tracking and arresting, going behind the scenes, going in the fields and the forests and being able to track down. And then as far as weaponry and marksmanship, they're top of the line.
Wow. Here in the Rio Grande Valley, we have a very wide and deep river, the Rio Grande, which is, hard for some of my colleagues say in El Paso to wrap their heads around, where it's just a trickle or it's not even have any water, right? But it is a serious component here that any agent, whether they want to go for these special ops positions or not, might find themselves rescuing people in the Rio Grande, find themselves in the Rio Grande chasing someone, right? It is
100%.
A life-saving skill that they really...
and both BORSTAR and BORTAC are so well-trained in the water. Like I said before, when they think that BORSTAR is more... No, BORTAC, they train extensively in the water. They're SOC DP. A couple days a week, they're in the water and they're treading extensively. Underwater objectives, retrieval, they're very impressive in the water.
Last weekend we had a sad situation. A Border Patrol supervisor drowned at South Padre Island trying to rescue his own children. We have severe rip currents in the Gulf, as you know. That's got to be hard for the agents, for someone like you who works with these people.
It is. It's such a tragedy, and it just broke my heart when I found out about this. And I did talk to my guys the following Saturday. We had a workout, and I asked them, do y'all know what to do in case of a rip current if you're out in the water? And they didn't. A lot of people don't know. It's really not something you think about being trained in. You just go out in the ocean and swim and come back. But no, I let them know you've got to swim parallel to the shore until that rip current ends, and then you can swim in. But the more you fight it, the more fatigued you're going to be, hence not being able to stay afloat.
And a lot of it's also confidence, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just knowing that you can have the skills, you can survive it. Think about that guy who couldn't even put his face in the water, and he's going to graduate.
We work extensively on mental preparedness and water confidence. In fact, water confidence is one of the first things, along with learning how to breathe and swim at the same time, that I work on. Once I feel that they are more confident in the water and I'm confident in the way they can move through the water, then we can progress to the deep end and work on the treading.
And they're not just saving themselves. They're actually saving, and maybe saving other agents. They're saving, and many times, migrants. They're saving other people.
Absolutely. They don't draw a line between who the person is going to save. What side of the border they come from. It's a life, and they're committed to saving lives. And they have the skill set to do that by the time they get through all of their training selection.
When I first started covering the border back in 2014, one thing that appalled me was the knowledge that Mexican cartel would readily send 7- and 8-year-old boys across the Rio Grande from, say, Reynosa with a rope in their hand. And then they were responsible to tie the rope onto the trees, and then they bring the rope back and the other group of migrants follow the rope. But in essence, it would sacrifice these boys who sometimes drowned. Oftentimes I heard stories about Border Patrol agents who often patrol in boats, but helping these boys, plucking them out of the water, right? It's just, and it's constant, and the cartel doesn't seem to mind sacrificing these children.
No, and I'll tell you, I feel so blessed in all the agents that have come through my pools. They are nothing but upstanding, ethical, good men. I've not met a one that I'm not impressed with. They are truly there to serve, to save lives, and to do their job as they're instructed to. And it's very refreshing. Every day that I show up with them, they're funny. They're serious. They take what they're approaching with great concentration and dedication, and that's what keeps me coming back. Is knowing that it's important to them. They're making a difference, and it's important to me to help them.
How much of, the training that you provide to these agents, how much of that is, kind of like prescribed training, stuff that's got standardized books or anything, knowledge exams, anything like that? And how much of it is just, your experience from being an Iron woman, essentially, being out there in those rough waters?
None of it's prescribed. None of it's written. It's dependent. Like I tell the guys, you got to let me know who's coming, because that's how I plan my workouts, based on your skill set. If you're going out for BORSTAR, BORTAC, I've trained probably over 300 people in the water, anywhere from kids 4 years old to 70 years old. And it's been just an absolute joy watching people progress in the water, watching them become safe, being able to meet their goals. I've trained over 100 people to do their first triathlon, and anywhere from 300-meter swim to an Ironman swim, 2.4 miles. So it's truly my passion, and because I do have such a high regard and respect for our military and for those that serve on the border, for our law enforcement, it just keeps me going and keeps me wanting to help these individuals achieve their own goals.
Well, Sandy Overly of H2 Overly Swimming here in Mission, Texas, thank you so much for sharing your story, and thanks for training these guys and gals, and we hope to keep in touch, and we'll have you back again on the show soon. Thank you. We're going to take another 1-minute break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
And welcome back to this Tuesday edition of Border Report live from Harlingen, Texas in the Rio Grande Valley. My name is Rui Mireles, and I am the host of this program, and joining me is Sandra Sanchez. First of all, what a great guest having Sandy Overly in here.
Awesome.
So much that I learned about the process that these folks are going through to be able to do those water rescues. And so, a big thank you to her, not just for talking to us, but doing that, because like we talked about, those folks are out there helping, people. It doesn't matter where you're from, what's going on. If they can help, they're going to help. So that's awesome. Sandra, we had some developing news over the last 24 hours regarding different immigration policies. Why don't you tell us a little bit about these immigration fee changes?
Yeah, well, the Trump administration has made it clear that they want the onus to be on the immigrants who come illegally, not on the American taxpayer. And so there have been some fees that have some expansion of immigration fees that have just been announced by the Judiciary Committee. For instance, $1,000 asylum application fee, the first time in U.S. history. They're saying, if you want to come to the United States and claim asylum, well, you're going to pay for it, not the American taxpayer. And $1,000 fee for someone who is paroled. As you remember, under the Biden administration, we had hundreds of thousands of people who were paroled. If you are paroled and you're allowed to stay here, then, you will have an additional fee every year that your asylum application is pending. You'll pay $100 a year fee. If you go to court and there's a continuance granted, it's $100 that time. So it's basically sending a message that if you want to come and do this process, you better be serious about it. You better have some money, and you better recognize that, the United States government isn't going to fund the court costs. As you know, immigration lawyers, that migrants can always have the right to hire their own immigration lawyer, but one is not provided for them. But they still go to the EOIR, the Executive Office of Immigration Review, are the judges the federal immigration judges that hear these cases. We have a backlog of almost 4 million immigration cases nationwide. It can take anywhere from 3 to 6 years. The Trump administration wants to streamline that process. They want to get people through. I've talked to many people who are familiar with the system. They say 85% of the people who come and want to apply for asylum don't qualify. You can't just come and say, I want to work here. I want a better life. That's not a reason. You have to prove that you have been persecuted in your home country. You have to show police records. You have to show that gangs were after you. I mean, you have to have a very specific reason. So this just coming out of the Judiciary Committee from the reconciliation provisions shows they are really being hardline on this. They expect that to remove 1 million people a year is the goal. They have made put aside a lot of money for detention beds and new ICE officers and CBP officers and personnel. So this is just one more way. A couple other things, they're going to charge $900 fee if you want to appeal a decision by an immigration judge, and $600 fee for suspension of deportation. So,
well, we'll have more on borderreport.com if you're interested in learning more about that, or watch this episode or any of the prior reporting. Until tomorrow, have a good day.